businesses.
For the Tourism and Culture Minister Fatumas Jobnjai, the opening of the magnificent branch at the center of the tourism development area could not have come at a much needed time, saying all these investments are commendable and are key in the development and promotion of tourism in the Gambia.
Since its establishment 12 years ago, GT Bank has been very active in all sectors of the Gambian economy, especially in the development of tourism. I am reliably informed that the GT Bank is the only visa principal member in the Gambia and the only merchant acquirer issuing point-of-sale terminals in the Gambia. I am also informed that a leading hotel in the economy of the Gambia has been co-financed by the GT Bank together with IFC, and that there are 17 visa-enabled ATMs and over 50 point-of-sale terminals located in major hotels, restaurants, and supermarkets. Thank you very much, GT Bank, for that.
For the Gambia to gain competitive edge over other competing destinations, all players in the economy must develop quality and attractive products and also deliver exceptional service at all times, and that is what Guarantee Trust Bank is doing, says the Tourism Minister. The Permanent Secretary said that the launch of the e-branch will further enhance the reputation of Guarantee Trust Bank as one of the leading financial institutions in the country.
I would like to, therefore, seize this opportunity to applaud the bank for their continued success and contribution to the Gambian economy, particularly in the area of tax collection in collaboration with the Gambia Revenue Authority, employment creation, and the modernization of our financial system.
Shopping vouchers were later presented to winners of the GTB Win promotion. At Guarantee Trust Bank, they believe that customer service is the driving force of any successful organization, and outstanding customer service could only be provided in a conducive working environment and one that is comfortable and pleasant to the eye. Guarantee Trust Bank, wouldn't you rather bank with us? Reporting for GRTS News, I am Fatou Janembai.
Well, that report by Fatou Janembai takes us to our first break. Welcome back. African leaders who have looked to Nelson Mandela as a role model and an inspiration in their own countries are offering their tributes. More than 40 of them are in Paris, France for a two-day summit. CNN's Isisese has more in this report.
A silent tribute to Nelson Mandela. Leaders of 53 African nations observe a minute of silence for the late South African leader during a summit in Paris, calling his death a loss for the entire continent.
Often when we talk about Africa, we talk about AIDS, corruption, civil war. Mandela symbolized another image of Africa. And it's not only a loss for South Africa, it's a loss for all the African countries.
In Nigeria, sadness on the streets of Lagos.
So many things we miss from him, so many things. He's a leader, He fought for the right of his people.
He did a lot for the whole world, not in Africa alone, sir, for the whole world. But the man is, just a great man.
In Nairobi, Kenyans also mourn the anti-apartheid hero.
A great father of all nations of Africa, and we have lost a great friend.
Kifo Mandela.
Mandela's death is a very big blow to the whole continent.
We will all miss the most cherished of Africa's sons and a true African hero.
Many mourners, especially in countries still racked by conflict, say Africa needs more leaders like Mandela.
Look at our leaders who take power to enrich themselves, and then they don't want to leave power. They want to pass it on to their offspring.
Right now, Africa is in crisis for role models. Mandela was a role model for citizenship and good governance.
He represented the freedom spirit of Africa and for the entire world. We ask other leaders in Africa to follow his example so that we can also move forward.
While Africa mourns Mandela's loss, it also calls on its leaders to learn from his legacy. Isisese, CNN, Atlanta.
Former U.S. President.
One of Mandela's main attributes is his ability to bring some of Africa's key warring factions at the same table to discuss peace. The anti-apartheid figure led through tough negotiations between the embattled government of Mobutu Sese Seko and his then arch-enemy Laurent Kabila. The late Mandela is a respected figure in DR Congo and has a monument built in his honor in the capital, Kinshasa. We have details in this report.
In Kinshasa stands a monument dedicated to Nelson Mandela. It was raised during his visit to the country in 1991, soon after it attained independence. The monument, a large white dove depicted in mid-flight, is a symbol of peace and reconciliation. Nelson Mandela is revered in the DR Congo, not only for having ended apartheid in South Africa, but for having struggled to end a bloody rebellion that forced the late President Mobutu from power. Those efforts, sadly, were in vain. Gerard Kamanda served as foreign minister under President Mobutu. He remembers clearly how Nelson Mandela conducted the negotiations.
President Mandela was an imposing figure, not because of his height, but because of the respect he invited and the dignity of his manner.
On May 4, 1997, Nelson Mandela met with President Mobutu and the rebel leader Laurent Désiré Kabila. The meeting was held on the Utanikwa, a South African warship moored at Pointe-Noire in Congo-Brazzaville. Getting the two men to sit down to talk was no easy matter. Kabila, who at that point controlled more than half of what was then Zaire, dismissed the idea of negotiations, and President Mobutu had no intention of handing over power to Kabila.
They, along with Kabila, were in a struggle to take power by force, whereas President Mandela's attitude was to achieve a solution through negotiation. If you remember, we were near Kinshasa by that time, so negotiations were pointless. Our view of the matter was different.
At the time, Mwenzi Kingolo was one of Mr. Kabila's personal guards. He watched Mandela closely throughout the negotiations.
When you were in his presence, you wouldn't show your displeasure. No. The mood around the table had to be peaceful. All around him, it was like that. The atmosphere had to be one of fraternity.
12 days later, faced with the rebel assault on Kinshasa, Mobutu stepped down. Despite the failure of the talks, the country would turn again to South Africa to help resolve its internal conflicts. The inter-Congolese dialogue, held in Sun City in 2002, concluded with the long-awaited peace agreement.
After weeks of uncontrolled bloodshed in the Central African Republic between Christian groups and Seleka fighters, French troops seem to have had enough of the violence. Column of French armored vehicles roam the streets of the capital Bangui. The move is to restore calm to a battered city after a period of chaotic violence. We have details of that story in this report.
French forces control the streets of Bangui. 200 French troops equipped with light artillery have been transferred from Cameroon to the Central African Republic capital to restore stability and protect the population. Armed militias are disappearing and civilians are starting to emerge. But early Saturday, the streets were still quiet. It's been really calm since the French arrived yesterday. The situation is much better.
Do you feel safer today?
Yes, I feel safer. I know that we can start moving around the city again. 1,200 French troops are now stationed in the Central African Republic, but civilians who had fled are not returning to their homes yet. The Saint-Jean Church, which is a refuge center for the displaced, remains full.
The Seleka elements who are out of control came shooting live ammunition in our neighborhood, which means many people in the district cannot sleep. And that's why you see so many people who have come to stay here in the Saint-Jean Church.
Attacks in Bangui on Thursday and Friday have left at least 300 dead in the city. These estimates given by the Red Cross are expected to rise, since rescuers have not yet gained access to all neighborhoods yet. The bodies of the victims are laid out in the city morgue, where the bereaved families come to search for relatives who have disappeared. Meanwhile, the situation in the rest of the country remains chaotic.